You know, one would think with the reopening of the economy here in the United States, if not in more places around the world, eventually in 2021, that the demand side of the equation is looking firmer. What about the supply side and the Saudis being able to maintain their role and their control over OPEC and supply?
Well, Tyler, that's a great question. And really, I think it was the Saudis and their unilateral production cut in January that really gave this market a lot of momentum. And I think even with the concerns that we've seen about demand, with the lockdown restrictions in Europe, vaccine hesitancy, issues about potential softening in China with refinery maintenance, I think the key thing to keep in mind is Saudi Arabia seems committed right now to continuing to play the role of the central banker for oil. I think they're going to be very cautious about bringing back their extra 1 million barrels that's off the market. And the Saudi oil minister, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz, keeps saying, he's going to be very, very cautious about bringing barrels back on the market. He remains concerned about vaccine hesitancy. He's not wanting to make any real sudden moves in this market. So I think we can expect the Saudis to continue to play that role in terms of keeping supply restrained.
It was just a year ago, I don't know if it was a year ago today or a year ago, a couple of days ago, or maybe next week, where oil went negative. It's now in the 60s. What do you see as the price band for oil between now and year end?
I mean, we are constructive on the oil market, particularly for the back half of the year. We're looking at, the recovery, particularly in the U.S., as more drivers get on the road, where we see the uptake of vaccines going well in the United States. Do we see a situation where, WTI can be in the 70s in the back half of the year? Absolutely. I mean, we think it's going to average around $66 in the back half of the year, but we certainly see, room for WTI and Brent to be in the 70s, in the back half of the year. We will be watching very carefully, what happens, though, with OPEC. I think a really interesting question is really what is the price band the White House is looking for right now in terms of the oil market? Because traditionally, particularly under President Trump, we would see calls made to OPEC when prices were to go into the 70s. The interesting question is, will they be making those calls now?
Yeah, and the former president has been critical of the idea that gas prices, as demand comes back, are going to be up pushing $4 this summer. Do you have a view on what the Biden White House might do? What kind of jawboning they might bring to the table?
Yeah, I just don't think that we're going to see President Biden using the power of diplomacy to really manage the oil market. He's really focused on accelerating the energy transition. I certainly think a call would be made to the Saudis if oil prices were seen as threatening global growth, or if the oil price was moving in such a direction that potentially was giving the Iranians more financial bandwidth to withstand sanctions. So I think those are the kind of calculations that would be made in terms of when the call would be made. I think, though, that call may not be coming at $75. I think the Biden White House may making that call, 85 to 100. So I do think that OPEC has more room to run when it comes to potential pressure from Washington to cap the upside.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.